write the best story you could possibly tell, and write with an unlimited budget, unless you want to shoot it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to shoot it yourself, you cannot think that way.
Hello guys, today I have with me Arturo. He's a great filmmaker, he's a film director, and he worked on his first feature film this year. Oh, actually you started in December, right?
Well, depends what... I started writing in 2024. We filmed it December 2025, and actually there's still some stuff to pick up. So, I mean, it's probably not going to be ready, finished, and released until the end of this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I was telling you earlier, I was born here in Miami, born and raised here. I went to FSU for college.
Nice.
I studied business and Chinese, actually.
What?
Mandarin Chinese, yeah.
Wow.
我会说一点中文.
Oh man, I don't know what he said, but
I said go watch The Dark Pool.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, I didn't grow up with artists in my family. I mean, my parents were big into music, but they're in medicine by profession. So
wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't like your experience where, your grandma was an artist, where that was an actual possibility. To me, it was just, oh yeah, like I want to make movies, I want to be an actor, I want to be a writer. It was so out of the realm of possibility that it was unrealistic for me. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna get quote unquote a real job, and I'm gonna study business. I'm gonna study Mandarin Chinese to try and get ahead of the competition. And yeah, I was in college and just sitting in classes and realizing that, man, I'm kidding myself.
Wasn't your thing? You felt like something was missing?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, I always loved making stuff. I was always writing short stories. I actually had attempted several novels. I never finished. I did write and finish a novel later on. But just growing up, my very, very first attempt at a novel was called Beringia. It was about a group of cavemen, a little tribe of cave people who cross the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia into North America. Anyways, I always loved making stuff and writing stuff, but it just was never like a career path until college, when I started looking into things, and I said, man, how can I really make this a reality?
Okay.
And I realized, what, there is a way in, there is a path here. So I moved to LA, and I actually started as an extra.
Oh, nice.
As on several different TV shows.
That is pretty cool.
Just to make connections. And I had a family friend who, it was like 3 family friends removed. It was a family friend who had a family friend who knew a guy, was a producer on a kids TV show. And I went in, I said, hey, I just moved out here. I want to learn. I want to work, I'm ready. And so he hired me as a PA, and that's how I got my film education.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, paid to learn, basically. I worked my way up to production coordinator. I actually was basically ready. I was already getting offered UPM jobs. Then the strikes hit.
Oh man, yes. So for how long have you been in the film industry?
Well, I lived in LA for 6.5 years, plus a year here. I don't know if I could consider myself in the film industry here in Miami. I mean,
in general,
In general, 7.5 years.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
8, yeah.
It's about the same time I've been working in the film industry,
Oh, really?
As an independent, yeah.
Wow,
I got a big opportunity to work in National Geographic, a documentary, but yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So that was cool. I think that's probably one of the biggest thing I have done, in regards of what the film industry is. But I feel like everyone who is creating art, visual arts, filmmaking, and are involved somehow into like, a movie, commercial, they're part of the film industry, It's not like Hollywood.
100%. I mean, even craftspeople who are painting, people who rent out studios, people who
everyone's
who run a prop house. The janitor in a prop house in Burbank is in the film industry. Like it's a humongous industry, and
it's interesting.
It's unfortunate what's happening over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think like there's also opportunities, like for filmmakers like you that are like creating independent filmmaking, right? Like you don't have any studio. You're talking about your movie,
right?
So tell me about your movie. How did you get that started?
Yeah, well, where do I even start? I always knew that a feature film was the right path forward. It was more about finding the right story. I wanted to make sure that I wrote the right screenplay. I think that was really important for me.
Yeah.
Because I consider myself, I mean, I definitely consider myself a storyteller first, and I think that was the biggest thing. I didn't want to rush into just making something. So I had made a couple short films, and I said, okay, I'm ready to make a feature film, and I wrote a script, and it was a little too big for my means to do on my own.
Dude, I'm there.
So then I was like, okay, let me try again. So I wrote another one, and I said, okay, I could do this. And then I sat down and I said, okay, I can't do this. This is too big. There's a freaking boat scene, a chase with a giant crab, all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay, let me try again. I wrote another one. And I did that for like 3 years.
Wow.
Just writing scripts the scripts were coming out. The scripts were coming out fantastic. I was getting better and better as a writer, but they were just too big for the means that I had at my disposal. And then when the strikes happened, I lost my work. I lost I wasn't getting hired anymore. Production just wasn't happening anymore in Los Angeles, and so I kind of had to make a really big decision. I said, okay, do I get a job outside the industry here in Los Angeles, or do I get a job outside the industry in Miami and still make, still pursue my goal of making a feature film? And so I chose the latter because I had more resources here and I just had more resources here.
Yeah. Think about this. When you're in a place that the film industry is not a thing, you have more people that want to help, people that are willing to give you stuff for free. So this is a huge advantage.
That was huge. Well, that was the main choice that I had to make. So when I sat down, I said, okay, it really lit a fire under my ass to write a script that I could produce. Because I had been writing all these scripts. I was my own biggest enemy. I would write these ambitious stories and say, okay, I could do this. And when I would take my writer's hat off and put my producer's hat on, I would look at the script and I said, how the heck am I going to do this? And that's how I was able to make this, because I never took my producer's hat off.
That is great, yeah.
I was, right. So when I realized, okay, I'm moving back, what do I have at my disposal? Well, I know I can film in people's houses. I know I can film in my parents, my neighbor's house. I have family friends. I can film in their houses. So, locations. I got houses. I have at least one boat at my disposal, so I can film something on the water. So that'd be super cool. What else do I got? Well, we have the Everglades, which is, super freaking cool, super unique. It's one of the most unique biomes on Earth, and it's an hour outside of Miami. Miami itself is its own location. We filmed a couple scenes right off the Rickenbacker Causeway. It's iconic. Miami skyline, everyone knows Miami. It's got its own personality. Any movie that takes place in Miami immediately has a distinct it's got a distinct personality to it,
Yeah, that's true. Everyone knows as soon as you see the buildings, people,
right. I still have to do a lot of montage stuff, so I gotta go around and go to Little Havana maybe or South Beach and get some B-roll. But So I sat down. I said, okay, you know, what can I make with all of these things, with all of these resources? And I use that not as a obstacle, but more as a tool. And I started with this story. I actually took an old idea that I had and I repurposed it. The original idea was there was like this UFO podcaster. Actually,
that is so cool, bro. You want to hear something?
Yeah.
My main beaten, he's like a podcaster. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like at the dark web podcaster.
Okay, he's the villain.
Yeah, he's the villain.
So in the original script, he was the hero, the protagonist, and as the story transformed, I started bringing in elements of the Cuban diaspora. I started bringing in elements of Ponce de Leon when he came to Florida in 1513, and the myth behind the Fountain of Youth. And I realized, I was like, man, like this is super cool. Like I have all these different elements. So I made the story around that. And anytime I would be writing, I never took my producer's hat off, which again, my other scripts, you know, I never wore my producer's hat. I was never looking at the script through the lens of a producer. I was always thinking about the story. Like, you know, how do I get this person from point A to point B in the most interesting way? It didn't matter how. I just wanted to make it interesting. In this case, I was like, okay, it does matter how. I still want to make it interesting, but I can't have, you know, a giant 20-car pileup on the way.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I would love a huge car chase or, you know, huge spectacle, I had to put a pin in that and, you know, save it for the next one.
Gotcha.
But honestly, I think people, even when they read the script, they were very surprised by how ambitious it was, the story.
I feel like it's always like that, you know. I get an advice from a filmmaker, very good filmmaker, and also he's a writer as well. And he told me, when you're writing a script, write it like there's unlimited budget. And it can get tricky though.
It depends.
You know?
I agree with that. I agree. Write the best story you could possibly tell and write with an unlimited budget. Unless you want to shoot it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to shoot it yourself, you cannot think that way.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Like when you think about money, when you're writing a script, and that's what I like what you say, taking my hat as a script writer and put it the producer. So you kind of like split yourself into two different departments. But I understand what you're saying. So it's really good to understand like what's the goal, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's what I did. I couldn't. I shot this for nothing. I mean, when I tell people the budget, they're like, you know, in kind money, the budget's huge. I mean, it's like you said, I shot for free in literally every single location except for one, and I was only there for one night. And I work for free. I mean, I'm not taking a
it's
salary.
part of the process. Let me ask you a question, so that way we can like kind of wrap the idea on your movie. So you wrote a script in 2024, right? You start working on several ideas.
I started in 2024. I started with the initial idea. I finished my first draft at the very end of 2024. I remember giving my first draft to my girlfriend. Actually, you know what? It wasn't even a first draft. It was a treatment.
Yeah,
I gave her a treatment,
that is great. Yes.
And she went in there with a pen, like a teacher, like with a red pen, like nope.
Oh boy.
Yes. Oh, cool. You know, she started the good stuff. X named the bad stuff. But yeah, I started at the end of 2024, and honestly, I just made a tweak to the script today.
Wow.
There's a scene that we have to shoot on February 6th. We're shooting at Palacio de los Jugos, actually.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, pretty cool.
How did you get that location?
I called him up.
That is amazing.
I called him up. I said, hey, I love your restaurant, which is the truth. And I said,
and they were like, yeah,
I want to shoot a feature film here. You know, what do I got to do to make it happen? And they said, oh, just send us a COI and come on over. I said, wow, okay, cool.
That's amazing.
That was easy.
I mean, it's exposure for them too, right? So
yeah, exactly. I think that's
very kind of them. You know?
A lot of people wanted that. I think that's why we were able to shoot for free. They were just like, you know, in LA, there's movies filming everywhere. You know, you throw a stick in the air, you're gonna hit a production. You're gonna hit an actor in the head in the middle of a scene. in Miami, you tell people you're making a movie, you get two reactions. One is, holy cow, really? Like, how can I help? And the other one is, oh, good luck, dude. You know?
That is interesting. You know, here in Palm Beach, it's kind of different. Like, there's not any production happening here besides like the golf tournaments and, you know, one and other like documentary, you know, like the shark migration and all that stuff. But
cool. Shark migration documentary?
Yeah, they do, like BBC. They just film here in close to Juneau.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. They want to hire me, but I'm not a drone pilot. They need a drone pilot. They call me. Which I shot a documentary here in Palm Beach Garden. Pretty cool for a state park.
What was that? What was that? And I don't know if we can I ask about your National Geographic project?
So this is how it happened. So I was filming a music video at Jonathan, actually MacArthur Beach State Park. So I was filming a music video over there. And the ranger of the park told me, hey, we want to recreate our documentary from the 80s. So this documentary was so old, man, that even shot from a helicopter but with a very old camera.
Wow.
Yeah. And it took me 3 years to complete the documentary.
Wow.
Yeah, I volunteered over 300 hours. I got recognition from the state. It was amazing.
That's super cool.
Yeah, but without, you know, jumping into multiverses with the stories. So when I was working at this park creating the documentary, so National Geographic was looking to create a show called Something Bit Me, which is about like encounters with alligators and shark, right? Like you know, shark attack and that kind of stuff. And they were asking for a location scout. So the ranger called me and he was like, hey, they're looking for a location scout. Are you a location scout? I'm like, hey, listen, not really. Like, that's not a thing that I do for a living, but I do location scout. Like, that's one of the things that I can do. So he's like, I will say you say yes. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, like fake it until you make it. I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like that. It's a thing. But then I started thinking like, yeah, this is one of the things I always do. I go for find the location, permits, everything, you know. And then I told them, hey, listen, what do you guys need? And they're like, oh, we need 3 locations, you know, like Everglades look like. We need one that looks like Cancun, crazy thing. So, you know, like blue waters and all the stuff. And I'm like, and he was like, yeah, can you secure the location, your location scout? I'm like, hey, listen, this is one of the things that I do when I'm creating short films and working on commercials and other productions. So yes, let's do it. And they're like, okay, we're going to call you back. And that's it. That was the end. And that was for months. It was silent. And I'm like, oh, I didn't get the job. Then like 2-3 months later, they called me, hey, you got the job, man. When can you start? And I'm like, what? I say, yes. God. Yeah, I'm going to start next week or now. So I started looking for the locations, and camera is my thing. I love camera. I like to work on the camera department. I love to work.
I can tell, yeah, those photos are amazing.
Thank you. So one of the things that I told them, you know, you need to open the doors, brother. You need to ask. If you don't ask, they don't know. And I'm like, hey, listen, I did my work as a location scout for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I found the location, secured everything. I did one of the most detailed reports that they were impressed. So it was the board of the directors, producer, everyone, and I wasn't a speaker. I didn't know. And when I sent the report, they say, hey, Rafael, I gotta tell, this is the best report I ever have. And the reason why was because I put on my report how often the train passed, how often you get an airplane, how close was the firefighters,
wow,
the hospital and everything. And I put in a report every scenario, like what happened if there's an accident. And I put so many things that they were like, I'm impressed. And then he was like, hey, what else you do? And I'm like, yeah, I like to work on camera, like the camera department and all that. He's like, okay, we're going to call you back again. So
another 5 months.
Yeah, no, it didn't, take that long. But one of the producers, Tarek is his name. He called me, hey, Rafael, would you like to work with a big camera as a first AC? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I love, dude, I'm so good at technology, cameras, media, all that. I said, yeah, let's do it. So I was working as a first AC on this documentary through the whole show, which was
wow, super cool.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So they got me.
What was the topic?
Oh, so it's about encounters with animals,
Oh, right,
yeah.
right. Something bit me.
Yeah, something bit me. So the thing is, like, there was alligator attack, like 2 alligators attack here in Florida, like very important, like hit the news. One kid, he lost his arm and he started swimming. Yeah, he survived. Then another guy was hunting and an alligator out of nowhere, like actually in the mud, which is very interesting. Usually they're in the water, but this one was close to the palmetto plants and it just bit his leg, and there was like a helicopter that rescued the whole thing. It was crazy.
Holy cow.
And another one was in the water with a shark attack, which happened in Cancun to American family. But yeah, that's how I got the National Geographic position, and I do love that. I'm still having those contacts, and that's how I met producers and you name it.
Wow, very cool.
But so let's go back to you. Tell me about your movie. Can you tell me what's the movie about?
Yeah, it is about a Cuban political prisoner who spent the majority of his life in prison. And when he finally makes it to the U.S. and he's living in Miami, he comes into contact with someone who picks up where Ponce de Leon left off in the search for the Fountain of Youth. And so they go off into the Everglades, into uncharted territory in Central Florida, and all sorts of scary things happen. Crazy stuff happens.
So is there like fiction, a lot of fiction in this movie, or?
Oh, well, it is fiction. I call it horror adventure.
Oh, nice.
The 2 biggest inspirations were definitely Jurassic Park and The Mummy. It has a very similar structure to those 2 movies, where the first half, it's a lot of adventure, a lot of exploration, a lot of, solving the mystery.
That's one of the things that I love about movies. Like, so is this the type of movie that who's watching knows more than the actor, or they have to figure out?
Well, depends the scene, depends the moment. There are some scenes where the audience knows as much as the actors, and everyone's figuring it out together. And then there are other moments where actually the audience is a step ahead, and they know, oh, you know what? There's something behind that door. Don't open that door.
Yeah, I hear you. So I just want to know the formula. I really like that.
Yeah. But it's really, it's similar to those 2 movies in that, the first half is a lot of discovery and adventure. And then the second half, the monster comes out. The mummy wakes up. The T-Rex gets loose. It's all running and screaming and all sorts of good stuff.
This is the type of the movie that puts you on the edge of the seat. Like, you're going to be like this watching.
I hope so. I hope people are on the edge of their seat.
Cool. Yeah. One thing very interesting that I saw in your story was like 1 camera, 2 lenses. Tell me about that. That got my attention.
Yeah, the cameraman asking about cameras. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty... I don't think that was a tough decision for us. I mean, my first camera was a Sony. It was the A7 III, and that's what I started with shooting. Well, really, my first camera was my phone. I just filming stuff with my friends on my phone. But my first professional camera was the A7 III, so the Sony line. Yeah,
solid.
Yeah, solid camera. Very solid camera, and I got some really cheapo lenses, and we filmed a bunch of shorts on that, and it was great. But I knew for this one, I said, okay, I want a little bit more power, a little bit more wiggle room. I know that cameras really don't make the movie, but I wanted something a little bit more robust that could handle situations that maybe weren't that ideal. So the FX3 became the front runner, like almost immediately after The Creator. Did you ever see that movie? Yeah, decent movie, beautiful photography. I mean, came out really nice, and I said, okay, the FX3, it's super affordable as a prosumer cinema camera. I mean, this is what we're going to use. And then the lenses, again, it was a balance of like best bang for your buck. I mean, so I wasn't going to shell out $10,000 for a lens.
Oh, no, yeah.
We just use Sigma Art lenses. I mean,
oh, dude, those are my favorites.
They're beautiful lenses. They produce beautiful pictures. And I wanted a zoom lens that was middle of the road. They actually had just released it It was 28 millimeters to 45 millimeters, and it was the f-stop was 1.8,
Ooh.
which is crazy fast. If anyone
on a full
listening,
frame.
Full frame zoom lens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a prime level speed, but this thing is a zoom lens, and Sigma was advertising it as like the fastest zoom lens on the market. And yeah, there were many situations where we did go all the way to 1.8, and it was it's great. It's a great lens. That was our workhorse. And then we also had an 85 millimeter lens that we used more for intimate close-ups that I really wanted the telephoto look, or in situations where it just demanded a little bit more room, and we needed the 85 for whatever reason.
So with the lenses, do you use manual focus or do you use automatic?
Man, I wish we could have used manual focus the whole time with with a focus puller. Right? Rafael, when I tell you that this was, our camera department was one person.
Wow.
It was our cinematographer, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like. It gives you a lot of plus that, man, you're making a feature film, right? With one camera, two lenses.
Yeah.
And the camera is a beast, right?
The camera's a beast.
Yeah.
Beast. Our cinematographer is a beast. I mean, Matt, that's one of the things I wanted to... I knew on the outset when I started working on pre-production, when I finally moved from development to pre-production, I said, okay, now that the script is basically finished, and I have a solid draft in my hands, I got to start staffing this film. And I knew, through experience, it can be done with a very, very small crew. And I had interviewed I had talked to a couple cinematographers, and I saw some of their stuff, and I was like, okay, this is all solid stuff. But every time I was looking at the credits of the different things, it was like they had huge teams, and I was like, wow, my buddy Matt can do so much with so little. I knew almost right away, yeah, this is going to be our guy. So he's actually the only person that we flew in from LA. Everybody else was local.
So if someone want to find Matt, how you can tell to the camera?
Yeah, on Instagram. I believe his Instagram is at Matt Yaley, or maybe it's Matthew Yaley. He's got his own company as well, Adara Entertainment. It's a lot like this, where it's a full service production company. But yeah, he's amazing. He could do so much with so little, and I think that was what I was going for this film. I wanted to punch above our weight class,
And it's a key factor when you're doing a low budget film.
Yeah. And I knew he could do it because I've worked with him before. I worked on his shorts. He worked on my shorts. We met as extras.
Wow.
In LA, yeah. We were.
Hey, let me ask you a question. How was the dynamic between the two of you? Because I know, like, sometimes you're working with cinematographers that have different opinions. And I see this a lot on set. The director and the cinematographer, they don't go along, and they're like, okay, I want to do this. And
it was terrible. It was awful. No, I'm kidding. No, Matt he's amazing. I cannot heap enough praise on him.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah, we had a great dynamic. It really was great. I mean, he also did a lot more than just light. I mean, because it was so small, he wore a lot of different hats that normally I feel like your average cinematographer wouldn't wear.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and I think we had like I said, we were already friends. We had already worked with each other.
That is great.
So there was already a shorthand. But we found our rhythm immediately.
That is great.
Before we even started shooting. I mean, he flew in literally the day before or 2 days before. And already with pre-lighting and doing some test shots, we found our rhythm. And we were just... Yeah, it was great. It was an adrenaline rush for sure.
Great. So... you say that you're gonna film more stuff in next month, right? So when the movie is gonna be done?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I can't fly Matt back out for these pickup shots. Well, it's a mix of pickup shots and additional photography, just because there was so much to do that I knew we weren't gonna finish, and so I had to shift stuff over. So there's a couple scenes that we're gonna pick up. like 3 weekends from now.
Okay.
And then there's underwater photography,
Ooh.
which is going to be super fun. I'm very excited for that. Hopefully,
Who's gonna do the underwater cinematography?
me as well. Yeah.
So you do scuba diving? Over
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah. We're
Oh,
gonna
boy.
scuba dive. I'm an advanced scuba diver.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm excited for that. Again, it was another one of those things that like, how can I leverage my talents and the things at my disposal to push this production as far as it can go without breaking the bank. And this was one of the things. Oh, you know, I'm a scuba diver. Like, we can get some super cool underwater photography with this. But just really quick to wrap up the manual focus. It was a mix of autofocus and manual focus. I think that there was a learning curve for us the first couple days, with just a lot of stuff that I wish we had already figured out before we started filming. Just the very nature of the project, the very nature of the production, and you know, because I was really doing it alone. I mean, my girlfriend was also the producer, and she helped a tremendous amount. But she was working, you know, full time, and so she just did it on the side.
So we'd like to know what's her background.
She is not in film at all. She's actually in real estate. Her background's in real estate. She's getting her MBA right now for real estate finance, and she grew up in Los Angeles. We met out there, and I rescued her. I brought her back to Florida. She grew up around the allure of filmmaking. Like, she would, you know, be driving to school and see a huge production on the side of the road. Like, wow,
that's
cool.
interesting, right?
They're making movies right there, you know. So she had a toe in the water before I did. And she is a huge cinephile, loves watching movies.
Okay, that's the
yeah. So when we met and I was telling her about this, she immediately became interested, and she would help here and there, and then, you know, it started with the treatment I was telling you about, where she was like, you know, like a teacher grading, but then she just, you know, anything that she would be interested in, like, oh, cool, that sounds cool, like, I want to help with that. You know, I'd be like, okay, go for it. I have so much on my plate, like, you know, it's all yours. Have fun.
That is pretty cool. You know, it's very interesting that you have someone that is helping you through the movie. You know?
Yeah, it would. I honestly couldn't have made it without her. She also has a costume design background, where she actually was accepted in.
Wow.
Yeah, she was accepted in a big design school. She didn't end up going. I don't remember the name. Some school in New York. And she was big into costumes. She's got this book where she had designed some things, and so that was one of the first things that she did. That is pretty. She goes, "Oh, I would love to do the costumes," and I said, "That's great," and she actually did a phenomenal job. I mean, the costumes change throughout the movie as the characters change, and you know, little things that people aren't going to notice, but the first half of the movie, the costumes are very warm. They're wearing brown, red, yellow. And then once they cross into the adventure world, it shifts to very cool colors like green, purple, blue.
That is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And even our main actress, Diana, who is an incredible actress, her costume changes in different ways as well. Like, her fur, the relationship between her and her character and her father are they butt heads a lot. And so the first time we see her, she's wearing all black. You know, her hair is in a super tight ponytail. It's not a very welcoming look. But then as it goes on, the shades get lighter and get softer. And that was Haley's idea, and she did a great job with it.
That is amazing. You know, I work with Diana as well. She's amazing. By the way, you can find her on Instagram, Diana Garle. So I can tell you, she's very talented. Very talented. She understands the game, and she adds to the character even more.
I learned, like I said at the beginning, you know, I consider myself more a writer, more of a storyteller, and I learned so much from being a director. I mean, it motivated me honestly to direct something else, because I was like, man,
That's
like,
amazing.
I learned so much. Like I want to do it again. Like I know I could do it better. I know I could, you know, do things differently, and I learned so much from the actors. Our actors were amazing. I mean, Diana's been acting since she was 5. Pablo, our main character, has been acting for decades.
My brother's name is Pablo.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Pablo
cool.
is our main character, Silvio, and he's an incredible actor. And I learned, and just everybody, I mean, Daniel, Diego, Fabian, they're all great actors, and I learned a lot from them.
Yeah, I think like once again, it's about working as a team. I think like the feedback you get from actors is so important, man. Like
Yeah.
if they understand, I feel like if everyone understand like what the goal is, it's just gonna flow fantastic for your film, and then you're gonna learn from the process, like the way they act, the ideas they bring on the table, which it happened to us on our film.
On Distortion.
Yeah.
How many days did you guys shoot?
I know, one.
Oh, just one
Yeah,
day?
just
Oh,
one.
wow.
Yeah, it was
How many pages?
probably 13 hours. No, we got for the proof
A
of concept.
13-hour shoot.
Yeah, so we have we had 12 pages.
You guys shot 12
No,
pages.
we didn't. So on one day is when we have all the actors. We're still filming other stuff for the film. So the cabin that I show you, we're gonna film another part over there, and then
okay,
I have another scene with Diana and her younger actor brother. So it's 12 pages total. Now we're gonna cut it into 8 or 7 pages to get the proof of concept in a point that you watch it and you're like, okay, this is something that I want to see. I want to see out there. So
Right.
that's our goal. But yeah, we filmed for 13 hours. The actors were amazing. We put a lot of energy, our heart into it. And if I show you what we filmed in this 13 hours, man, you're really gonna feel like it's a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And it's because many things, talent, and not only the actor, the crew. Like we work with a lot of talented people over there that were helping on each department. And one of the coolest thing was that we have practical effects, right? So we created these like fog on a chimney. Right, I saw a TikTok, which is very crazy. I saw a TikTok of a guy that used this fan and then he used a polytube. Do you know what a polytube is? It's pretty much like a pipe, but like a plastic bag, right? And if you put a fan, you can blow air through it. So we use a smoke machine, the fan, and the polytube, and we run probably 30 feet of the polytube around the location, the set, and then all the air start going on the holes that we open on the polytube. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I saw it on a TikTok, and I'm like, I don't believe this works. And I try it, and it really works. So
Wow.
I say thank you to the director or the creator, the one that did it, and he's like, "Hey, send me a photo. I want to see how it looks like." And he was like, "Oh man,
I would love to
great."
see a photo. Yeah.
It's amazing. So pretty much is like a long plastic bag, like super long, like meters and meters. I mean feet, and here's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we did as a practical effect to create atmosphere, right? So having a little bit more dense, and it works so well that I was impressed. It looks fantastic, man. I think like the value on what we're doing, because you did a lot of practical, right, on your movie.
Well, practical. You mean practical effects?
Yeah, like in regard of how do you use lighting and effects and sounds and things, right? Like for example, do you show a dinosaur, or you show the expression and you make the noise? Like how you?
Well,
That's a tricky part.
yeah. So I have. It's a mix of practical and visual effects. I have experience with visual effects. One of my jobs actually in Los Angeles, I was an assistant editor on a Netflix show, and I learned a tremendous amount working in Premiere Pro and in After Effects, and
Nice.
I taught myself a lot of visual effects, and so I knew right from the outset that I could do I could heighten the production value with some really high quality effects. But every good VFX is grounded with practical effects.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because I saw some of the behind the scenes and I saw the guys like running, breaking stuff and jumping, like
Yeah.
and even like being in the middle of the ocean, right? They got like the blood, the shark, now it's a lot of movies they create blood digital. Like they're doing that. They're just showing like a drop of blood and it's just digital. So,
See, simple stuff like blood. I mean, I would rather do it practically.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks better. But there are some things. I mean, there's a scene where I'm thinking if I should say it or not because it's a bit of a spoiler.
Let's keep it for later, so they can watch your your teaser.
Sure.
So
there are some things that just require VFX. Like there's no way around it. And so those are the things that I knew. I was like, okay, let me, with my background, let me position this as best as I can. Let me ground it practically. Let me set up some practical elements.
Yes.
And then I could finish it with visual effects.
I love that. You know. So my whole point with this is...
I hope I can make it seamless. There are some moments where the monster's going to be, completely digital. I'm hoping, though, that I can ground it enough where you won't even be able to tell.
Yeah, I mean, once again, one thing complements another. So, sorry, I do believe like when you have a movie, it's more about the narrative, right? Like,
of course,
what's going on there. And man, the other day I was watching a movie and it was, I'm telling you, all the effects were so bad, like almost like not even Sharknado. It were like
worse than Sharknado.
Man, it was so bad. But then the story was so interesting that I keep watching. I watched the whole thing. I didn't care about the effects, to be honest. Like there was a line in it. It looks like a PowerPoint effect or something like that. I don't even know if PowerPoint does that.
At the end of the day, everything around the movie is about the story.
Yeah, that is true.
And that's why I think I took so long to get this off the ground. Is because I wanted to make sure that I had an actual great story that everybody involved would be proud of and would be happy to work on. So that's I think why I spent so much time working on it.
That is good, man.
But what I wanted to mention before was to put things in perspective. Our crew, it was me. And this is the crew that was here every single day, okay? It was me, my girlfriend, who was also a producer, Matt, the camera, the cinematographer, Ashley, who was our gaffer, and Kevin, who was our sound mixer. Wow. Those are the only 5 people that were there every day. A lot of days we had help from other people, Koski, a very good friend of mine who was another producer who was there about half the days. Huge help. Pax, our makeup artist, again, there most of the days actually. Huge help. She's a great makeup artist. I can't recommend her enough. But that's how Jesus was another. He helped grip a lot on like tougher days. But that's how small our crew was.
Wow.
Literally, I mean, peaking at 8, but at the only 5 people for
every day.
Every day.
Nice.
Yeah. And to wrap it up, it's a mix of both. Pax, our makeup artist, created some really amazing wounds. I mean, some of the characters get really messed up. One character has like a huge bite here, and she created this mold and this. She made like 5 copies of it, so just for continuity, we were just able to just go and just slap it on there, and then the next day do the same thing. And the monster, we actually have a bit of he's like a mummy character where he's like 500 years old, and he looks like a little bit like a mummy. And I really wanted to do that practically.
Nice.
That was really important to me.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
So honestly, I found this incredible mask company, based out of Hollywood, based out of Los Angeles, called Immortal Masks. and they make all sorts of really awesome masks. And I found this one that I really liked, and I said, oh, well, that one. And then, that's 90% of the effect right there. And then she filled in the eyes, and basically what I'm going to do is finish it with VFX. I'm going to take out the nose, like a big,
gotcha,
like the ghoul from Fallout, take the nose out, mess with the mouth a little bit. Poor Fabian, who plays this character, I bought these sclera contacts for him to put in his eyes, but they were too big. And honestly, I can't. I mean, it's one thing to say like, oh, he didn't even try, but I saw it was Pax holding his bottom eyelid like this.
Oh my god!
And then Haley holding his top eyelid like this, and putting the contact in his eye. It was like, oh my god, what did I just walk into? I walked into the bathroom while they were getting into costume for this scene, and jamming the contact into his eye, and it just wasn't fitting in his eye.
That was
yeah. So I said, okay, guys, we tried.
Just leave it
alone. I will replace the eyes in post production. It's fine. So yeah, I think to answer the question, I think it was your question was practical versus computer generated.
It wasn't necessarily like which one is better. It was like what you use. Like what I was saying on my film, like one of the things, or the coolest thing I like is that we use a lot of practical, and it give you that, let's say like that sensation of this is real, and the way you did it is, a mix of both. So
I love both. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of both. I think that if it's all CGI, it's missing the heart.
Yeah,
it's not as fun.
Yeah,
you're just going around with a green screen.
That's my point. It's what? Yeah, you just hit an element. It's
not as fun.
You didn't film on a green screen, blue screen. Like you have some real location. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think I don't shy away from it as like, I think that there's just some things that you can't do practically.
Yeah, that's realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I literally was watching a video about just like the evolution of VFX and why maybe some VFX aren't turning out as good as they were 20 years ago.
You know what? I just, and let me make a pause right there. I just sent to a friend a clip from 2009. I think it was Transformer. It's a knife that turns into like a robot thing, and it's so insane. Like, it's realistic. The metal, the reflection, and now it's like, why they don't replicate that again?
So this was actually, I've never heard this before. I've heard different theories. One of them was like time. The way studios bid for VFX companies. So I've heard that one before. This one was interesting. Gore Verbinski, I think his name is, the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. One of the shots that's always referenced as peak CGI is Davy Jones, right? And he was saying that it's because Unreal Engine is being used nowadays.
Oh man, that makes
Unreal
a lot of sense.
Engine isn't able to create realistic lighting, and you're a filmmaker. How important lighting is. And I was like, wow, I wonder. I've fooled around in Unreal Engine. I've never made anything as complex as as Davy Jones, but I wonder what Davy Jones would look like if he were recreated in Unreal Engine. Or that shot from I think I know what you're talking about. It's from Transformers 2.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah,
like
you see the clip.
Transformers 2 shot, with the little beads, right? And they like roll, and then they come up into the yeah.
Man, that VFX is fantastic.
I wonder, just as an experiment, if let's recreate these shots in Unreal Engine and see if we can capture the same magic. Worth trying out, worth seeing. Like, maybe Unreal Engine, maybe there's some limitations here that we weren't catching before.
So yeah, you're right. It's about also the materials, like how the materials interact to light. So you get a real element.
Yeah. But again, Davy Jones, it was a mix of practical and visual effects.
Yes.
And that's what we did for The Dark Pool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I like that, man. So yeah, I think like if you find like a middle ground that you can use both, and you have like, let's say, the canvas, it's not like you. So this is the problem with when you do everything on VFX. You create the canvas and then you paint on the canvas that is fake, right?
Right.
So I think that's the biggest problem. Instead having actually the canvas and then you put something on top. I think that's the main difference on how you use VFX. I'm not an expert, but this is what I see.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an expert either, but I agree. Yeah, it's important to have both.
For the filmmakers that are listening right now, making a feature film is something that a lot of them see as an impossible, and because you need a lot of money to make it. So how was your experience finding the budget for this movie, which we know is a low budget movie? So can you please tell me a little bit?
Yeah. So I was just telling you about the budget. It's definitely micro budget. It was more about finding resources that were free and which allowed us to punch above our weight class. And, our cinematographer was one of those people who was able to do so much with so little. We didn't have 20 sky panels to light up a room, so we just used practical lighting. And he literally the day before took all the light bulbs out and wrapped diffusion around the light bulbs of the chandeliers.
Oh, wow.
And complete difference. I mean, and he put them right back in there, the same light bulbs.
I saw the video.
Yeah.
That was great.
The same light bulbs, same chandelier, and we popped it right back in, and now we look through the camera and boom, soft lighting. The cinema look.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, great. Boom, okay, let's go. And we were able to do stuff like that constantly, everywhere. My good friend, Parker Hall, has a big ranch in Central Florida. And I was scouting for this movie because a lot of it takes place in the wilderness when they find the Fountain of Youth. A lot of it takes place in the wilderness, and I was scouting. I went to the Everglades. I went to Flamingo in like August. I went to Flamingo in the middle of August, and we were just attacked by mosquitoes.
Oh man,
it was awful.
That happened to us.
That was a potential shooting location, and I was like, I mean, this is going to be torture. I went up north to visit another family friend who has some property up north, and I scouted his property, and that for a short moment was actually going to be the location we were going to shoot at. And then Parker reached out to me and was like, hey, I got all this land. I see you're scouting for a movie. It sounds super cool. Why don't you come over and scout the ranch? Check it out. And I said, sure. That sounds great. And I went over. We scouted the whole ranch. And immediately I was like, oh, this is it. This is the spot. I mean, there's areas where, it's like manicured pasture for the cows, but then there's areas of just untouched old Florida.
That is great.
With palm trees and oaks and short and little palmetto palms and the beauty about the ranch is that it's so vast and large that the biomes change as you make your way across the ranch. So one day we had to shoot a montage. The Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite movies, and I love all those helicopter shots, of the Fellowship walking across Middle Earth. So I wanted to do something similar, and we were able to do all of it at the ranch because the second you drive like 10 minutes, boom, you're in a different. It looks like you're in a different place.
Wow.
You drive another 20 minutes, boom, looks like you're in a different place.
So it's a huge location.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a freaking cattle ranch. It's huge. Huh. Yeah.
So where was this?
Central Florida.
Yeah,
of Arcadia, Florida.
Yeah, and you have like a different vegetation. Like here's one thing I was talking on the previous podcast was about like here's a bunch of palmettos.
Yeah. The vegetation there was classic old Florida. Looked super cool. Nice. It really increased the production value, and again, free. Oh, man. We were able to stay on the ranch for free. Just so many things for free throughout the whole movie. Like I was telling you about. Palacio. A lot of times all you got to do is call people up
So your advice is go out there, call your friends, see what's around, and
call your friends, call anybody and everyone, and see what's available, and you really don't need a lot of. Honestly, the only thing you really need to make a feature film is a camera.
Wow.
That's it. I mean, if you really wanted to, how much footage do you have here?
Yeah.
Is this almost an hour?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, there you go. There's your feature.
That is true.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to watch it, but...
Man, listen, there's people that make a feature film in a room.
Exactly, yeah.
It's all about, so once again, it's all about the script, the story,
Rafa,
right?
I want to actually follow up with that. For so long, I mean, everyone was telling me, just write something that takes place in a room. Just write something that takes place in a room. And it's easier said than done because my sensibilities, the types of movies that I love, the types of movies that I want to make, don't take place in a single room. I mean, there are movies that I love that take place in a single room, like The Whale. I don't know if did you catch The Whale, Brendan Fraser?
No, please.
Great movie.
Don't
Great
give
movie.
me the spoiler.
The guy never leaves the room. I mean, he can't. Really? He weighs like 1,000 pounds. I don't. I'm not spoiling anything. That's in the trailer. But the whole thing takes place in a single room.
Wow.
And I would love to. I mean, I loved the movie, but to me, when I sit down to start writing, my sensibilities just don't lend themselves to that type of story. So I think you're gonna be very surprised when I make the teaser. You're gonna be like, what the hell? They shot it for that much money? Like it's I think it really punches above its weight class. It's a much bigger movie than it lets on.
Now, like off camera, we were talking about sound design. So I think this is what we're gonna cover now.
Yeah.
So sound design, as you know,
Super
guys.
important.
Sound design is probably 70 to 80% of a movie, right? Because pretty much everything is sound. You walk, you grab a cup of something,
it's
the
huge.
keys.
Yeah.
So tell me about your sound design, like how you're creating these, sounds and scores and music, everything.
Music is super, super important to me. I think I would say that of all the different genres of music, I listen to movie soundtracks more than anything else. Movie scores, like orchestral. On the way over here, I was listening to a bunch of Jerry Goldsmith, Mulan, Rambo, believe it or not.
Wow.
I was just listening to movie scores. Like, that's my favorite genre of music. Ever since I was little, the first song, I was just talking about this with my sister and my girlfriend actually, about like the very first songs that like we were obsessed with. And one of them was, it's the main theme from Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes.
And so music, I've always loved movie scores, and I think actually listening to music without lyrics was able to foster a bigger imagination, because when you're listening to music with lyrics, you're listening to the lyrics and the story that the lyrics tell. Whereas if you listen to music without lyrics, you kind of tell your own story. And I think that's where I just, before I even thought about filmmaking, I've always been listening to movie soundtracks. So even when I was writing the script, especially if I would get stuck on a scene or something, I'd say, okay, what's happening in the scene? What's the emotion here? What am I trying to get across here? I would pick movie soundtracks and then play them as I would write to try and get through these story obstacles, story humps.
I think like one of the things that inspires me when I'm working is music. Now that you say it, I don't listen to music that have lyrics. Yeah. So it makes sense. I didn't know until now. Like
I thought of that right now, just thinking about the nature of music.
Yeah.
And the nature of like how our minds think.
What I do is like when I'm writing, which once again, I'm not a professional writer. I write like the story by the idea, and then then I work with my script writer. So when I'm writing something, and if I think, okay, this is a mystery, right, or this is a horror film, I just go with a theme go on YouTube and I find like, let's say suspense songs
Yeah,
for
yeah,
writing.
yeah, absolutely.
And then you have like, which is a loop, like every 30 minutes you're gonna hear it. But
that's exactly what I did. In fact, I would take multiple and play them at the same time. Like there's a moment where I wanted this tension to be building on top of this underlying tense, fearful score. So I went on YouTube, just like you did, and I found, suspense music on loop. It's like, an hour long, whatever. I press play, and it's just like, like very low volume. And then I took, and I've done this a couple times actually, Japanese taiko drums. You ever heard those? No. These huge drums. The Japanese, the entire show is like 20 different drums, and they record them, and you could find them on YouTube. These different productions of taiko. Yeah, just type in Japanese taiko drums, and they're very intense. They're very intense, and I put that on top of the suspense track, and then you make your own. Oh wow, this is what I'm going for, and then you write with that.
Wow. Yeah, I've never seen like that way, like finding like actually like, the soundtrack of movies. I'm going to do it. I think it's a great advice.
Yeah, I listen to you know what? I listen to a lot of Clash of the Titans, the score composed by Ramin Djawadi. I listen to that. I listen to the Hunger Games a lot. I listen to a lot of Alan Silvestri, just throughout the writing process, and I'm listening to them still now when I'm editing, even if it's like assembly cuts and just cutting the scenes that I like, and not even like actually putting clips together, but just listening to that to get me in the headspace of like, okay, what am I going for here? What's the emotion I'm shooting for here?
I like it. So your process of writing, we were talking about like the sound design and everything, and it's important even before filming the movie.
Yes.
Imagine
100%,
that.
100%. You have to think about that long before you write the script.
Wow. That's interesting. I was doing it without like actually having, a technique or a process the way you do it. So now I'm going to apply it.
And there's definitely moments where like specific sounds that I think are worth thinking about and that maybe stand out more than other ordinary sounds of someone picking up and putting down a glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, sound is super, super important. Our sound mixer, Kevin Caicedo, is a wizard with sound.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's another wizard.
Another wizard. Not the wizard, just another wizard.
So listen, well, now the final steps, post-production.
Yeah.
So you're in post-production right now, or are you like starting editing? So
yeah, so I would say I'm about 15% done with the cut. I haven't been moving as fast as I would like. I think I've just been, honestly, I think at first, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, tell me if you have or haven't, but at first when I sat down to edit, I started putting the scenes together, and I started being like, and I started looking at the scenes and being like, oh man, like this, I don't know about this, and kind of like being a little disappointed. And so I had to take a couple of days off and remind myself, I'm iterating here. This is like writing, when you write your first draft, it's garbage compared to your later drafts. There's so much refinement that needs to happen. And I think, and after I reminded myself, okay, this is just like that. To quote Ernest Hemingway, the first draft of anything is shit. And so this is a draft, and I was able to come back to it, and I've been editing at a steady pace now. Really simple stuff, putting clips together. I just want to get that first draft done, so then I can come back. First of all, I could send it to people. I could say, okay, I could send it to the composer and be like, this is the story. It is far from finished, but you have an idea of the scenes. You have an idea of what's happening. maybe I'll throw in a temp track or two. You know, we could have a little spotting session, and then he can go away and start working on music.
So, but going back to the point that you say that you create a little clip and then you don't like it. So what do you mean about that? Like you're just gonna leave it for a little bit, you come back, and then you're like, okay, now you're back on track. What do you mean about?
So I just mean that it's a rough cut. And okay, I'll be a little trying.
So my point is, like, after
instead of editing the first scene,
okay,
and getting the first scene so that it's perfect, and then moving on to the next scene,
okay,
and getting so that it's perfect. My process, and I think this is the process of most editors, is to just get that assembly cut done. Get it done.
Yes.
From beginning to end. Just
now
go. And don't worry so much about,
yeah, that has to be perfect.
Yeah. That'll come later. So that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, it happened a lot to me. Also, here's another thing, because I thought this was the idea that you were going for. One of the things that happened to me is that I'm working on a clip for so many hours that I need to get out of the computer and come back and watch it again. I need to go, grab a cup of coffee, and then like an hour later, I'm like, oh, it doesn't look that bad.
That's the other thing. You're almost desensitized by the image. You hear a joke so many times.
Oh, man.
The first time you hear it, you crack up. The second time you hear it, you chuckle. Third time you smile. By the 20th time, you're like, okay.
Yeah. It's like you want to get it done.
Yeah. So I think just speeding through it like this and finishing this rough cut is honestly good for your sanity. If you try and get the first scene perfect, it's going to take you a week.
Yes.
By the time you get to the second scene, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to finish. But if you can bang out the first act in a week, I mean, that's a little ambitious, but if you can edit, the first 3 scenes, if they're just okay in a week, okay, that means the second week you can finish edit the next 3 scenes. And in a couple months, you have yourself a solid working cut that you could go into and iterate on.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like you're doing everything. Like I've been working with editors, and it's so crazy because I was on this editing room, man, and I didn't know at the time that each editor is working on one scene, and then they have another editor at the end that put everything together. To be honest, I don't know like the positions, the names, but I was looking at this room and I'm looking at this guy working on this scene and this guy on this scene and this one. I'm like, how did they put everything together? It's at the end.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was working my only assistant editor job. Well, that's not true. I had quite a few, but the biggest one on the Netflix show, it was 2 editors, 2 AEs, and a post-production supervisor. And he would go in and edit little things here and there every once in a while. So usually it's a pretty big team. Usually it's the AEs, our only job was organize. I mean, they would let me cut stuff. But most of my job was just organizing and supporting them and, doing all these different things. But as a solo filmmaker, you really got to learn how to do all these things yourself. And I'm my own AE, I'm the one going in there, organizing stuff in different bins and syncing stuff and making sure it's good.
What is a trick that you can teach to the audience? Like those filmmakers that are working on a feature film, editing it. And so what's that advice that you are like, this you must know?
I'll say 2 tips. One is organization. You have to stay organized. If you're not organized, I mean, for a short film, I think there's more forgiveness in being disorganized. You're like, oh, where did I put that clip? Over here? Like, oh, I moved it's saying that it's not popping up on my timeline. Why? Oh, because I moved it. Oh, yeah. Short films are usually 10 minutes or less. You could get away with that type of disorganization. A feature film the amount of, we have like 24 hours of footage. I mean, we have a tremendous amount of footage. I have to be organized.
May I ask how many terabytes?
Like 5 terabytes.
Ooh.
We have 5 terabytes of footage, and then we're not done. You know,
Yeah,
I'm guessing there's another terabyte to grab at least. So probably 6 by the end of it.
Wow. So now you know. First tip: organize. Don't shoot a lot of footage like crazy because a lot of terabytes. And what is the second advice?
The second advice, maybe it's a little more technical, is hotkeys. I love the hotkeys. Yeah. I think it speeds up editing tenfold, and I learned that as an AE. I learned the organization and the hotkey stuff when I was assistant editing. So yeah, those are just integral to my process and just speeds things up like tenfold.
I like that. You know, one of the things that I do is filming, thinking on editing. It's kind of weird, but
yeah, it's not weird at all. You're saying that you film for the edit.
Yes, like you already know while you're filming how you're gonna edit, and this is something that I do in my brain. It's so strange.
Of course, no, that means you're a good filmmaker.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you are a good filmmaker, definitely films for the edit. It's if you film something, but you don't know. I mean, you like the frame, you like the performances, but you don't know how it's going to connect to the next frame. I think you're setting yourself up for failure for sure, and beyond that, also scene to scene. I think cutting from the very end of one scene into the beginning of the next is super important, and I think a lot of times it's neglected.
And you know, there's another thing that I learned years ago. I was watching this documentary about filmmakers and editors and how they create the composition knowing where the eyes of the audience going to be. Let's say the eyes are on the right and the next scene is going to be on the left. It's because it's a huge change in the movie, but usually need to flow. Whatever is here, the transition to here.
Right.
So man, there's something that I've been trying to do and it's hard.
It's super hard. Yeah, you're talking about eye trace. It's that is extremely difficult to do
on this scale.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like that's the other thing. So much about a successful film comes in pre-production, and one of the things that if I were to do it again, I would. That's the thing. The other thing is budget. You know, I didn't spend any money on a storyboard artist. I just made my shot list.
That's great. I mean, you have AI today, you know?
Right, but even with AI, I feel like it might be... I mean, you know what? I never fooled around with it. I was on a time crunch. I was like, okay, you know, we're filming December 1st, and, you know, I need to make this shot list, you know, among other things. But the storyboard is huge, and I think if you have a storyboard, it's a lot easier to achieve the eye trace you're talking about.
Do you know what is that is 100% true, because I have worked on short films that I got like 50, 60 shots insanely. But with the storyboard, you already know where the camera goes, what millimeters you're going to use on the lens, where the subject is going to be. You see it visually, you show it to the DP, to your team, everyone know what the game is on that aspect.
That's huge.
Yes, it's true. Because when I was filming the proof of concept, we didn't have a storyboard. We have a shot list. We didn't have time.
Right. Yeah, it's a budget thing and a time thing, you know. If you don't,
so I have visuals. I use Previs Pro, so it's super easy. You know, you get the 4S on Previs Pro, this app that for the ones that doesn't know what Previs Pro is. So it's an app that you can create your storyboard very easy, pretty much like a video game. So you go and you put forest, and then you put the character, and you put the clothes, and then all you got to do is just move the camera, boom, move the camera, boom. So
what's it called?
Previs Pro.
Previs.
Yeah, Previs.
Okay, you'll send it. You'll show it to me after.
I'm gonna send it to you. So this helped me.
That's huge. It's a game changer.
Yeah, no, man. It really helps you because you can put Arri camera, Blackmagic, Sony, and all you gotta do is just move the camera from here to this angle, millimeters. You're gonna spend a little bit of time on the software. The learning curve is easy, but what I can tell you is when I did that on my previous short film, it works so flawless. flawless, and it was easier to work on set and getting the shots in the way we wanted. On this one, I got so many things because I did, the props. I was doing like pretty much like you, production. I was wearing so many hats, and I didn't have the time to create a storyboard. So I will say, like with the storyboard, we probably, the flow of the camera department with us, we probably flow better. But we got some moments that we have to think, okay, where the camera's gonna be, where the shot's gonna be, like even when you have the shot, it's like low angle, corner, this, and then you put it, it's like, oh, it doesn't look good. We need to do something.
Yeah, that's another thing that Matt was really good at. I mean, in my mind, I would have, a specific frame, and I'd say, okay, I want this character framed in this way, or, whatever, and we would set it up, and I'd be looking at it, I'm like, I pictured it a little differently, and so we would do this thing where Matt would come over and we'd be like, okay, let's find the frame, and so we'd be looking
with the
around.
phone?
No, with the camera.
Oh, nice.
And we'd be looking around. We'd be like, oh, what about this? And we'd find a really nice, beautiful frame. Okay, that's it. And so then we'd keep going like that.
That's cool, man. I mean, and one of the things about working with small equipment, 2 lenses, you can move fast.
I think, yes, we moved much faster than a standard production. I mean, we shot most of it really in 16 days. There was another day.
Oh boy, 16 days.
Yeah, there was another day we were there for like 3 hours. Scheduling issues and the location falling through the floor, and there was something that happened that we weren't able to complete the day, so we were only filming for like 3 hours, if that. So honestly, it was really 16 days, not 17. And plus these additional days coming up. Let's call it an even 20. We were able to shoot, I mean, during production, we were able to shoot 5-6 pages a day some days, which is...
Usually it's 2 or 3.
Usually it's 2 or 3, yeah, and some...
6 pages?
Yeah, wow. We had a 6-page day.
Ask how many shots you get per day?
Well, depends the day. I mean, some days were slower, more dialogue heavy. Our action days, we had a day on, it was our last day. Oh no, it was a Monday. We were shooting a big fight scene. It was only 3.5 pages, but I said, you know something? This is going to take us all day to do. And it was actually our shortest. It was the fewest pages we shot outside of that half day. It was only 3 pages, and it took us all day long because there were just so many shots.
The angles. And you know, like
tons of angles. Every like punch we needed to get, from 3 different angles to really sell it. I mean, I would have loved to have shot it, in a long take with stuntmen and like doing real fight, all this. But we just couldn't shoot it that way. So I said, okay, the other way is, outside of doing one long take, is a lot of takes. Quick cuts.
Do you have an idea how many?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Over 50?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Wow.
Easily. Yeah. We did. I mean, I'm about to start. I'm gonna edit that scene. I feel like relatively soon. I'll tell you how much it was. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna tell you.
In total, it was over 1,000 shots. For the movie.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I made a shot list, and I remember, it was like sell. I'm pretty sure it was sell 1,000, maybe. Now I feel like I'm misremembering. I gotta look at my phone because I have it on my phone.
If you get 1,000 shots, 16 days, just make the math. Yeah, it's about like somewhere between 60 to 100, depending on each day. Like maybe one day you did 100, another day you did 60, like that.
Yeah, Now I'm not so sure.
So let's talk about you really quick because we're about to wrap our podcast, and has been a pleasure, man, learning from you, your movie and everything you're doing.
Thank you for having me on. This is super cool.
Yeah, and thank you for coming. By the way, driving 90 minutes, to Palm Beach. So, man, it's very exciting, everything you're doing with your movie, having the courage to grab a camera, grab a camera, make the movie, Don't think about the crazy budgets.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to stop, If you think about all the obstacles, you're never going to do it. So, there's a few questions that I want to ask you and, about like your career. And so, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself working as a fire dancer for big luau's in Hawaii.
Awesome.
No, I'm kidding. No, for real. I honestly, I want to make more movies. I want to make, but not just movies. I want to tell stories in other mediums as well. So maybe this is a little bit farther on than 5 years, but I want to write a novel and publish a novel. I mean, I wrote a novel before, but I want to write a really good one. Now that I've gotten a lot better at writing and storytelling. And yeah, I have this idea for a space opera. I'd love to write it and publish it. I also want to make a miniseries. I have an idea for a miniseries that I would love to do. But yeah, storytelling in the visual medium for sure.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Okay, you got 3 good ones there.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So now, what's the biggest advice you give to the filmmakers that are starting?
The best advice I could give is to learn by doing. Make movies. I mean, if you really love it, it depends, you may start doing it and you may realize, I don't really like this. And that's okay. And, you could go on and find something else. You may start doing it and you say, wow, I really love this, but I particularly love the acting. I love acting. Maybe you become an actor, Like there's no better teacher than life itself. And I think in order for that to make sense, it's just to do what you want to be doing. I didn't go to film school. We mentioned in the beginning,
Yeah.
I studied business and Chinese. I learned on the job. I worked on productions, TV shows, and movies. So I got paid to learn, which was pretty cool. So my biggest advice is if you want to be a filmmaker, take your phone out, write a script with your friends, and start filming. You
got it right there, guys.
Learn on edit. You don't even have to pay money for something like Premiere. DaVinci is free. I wish I started with DaVinci. Now I'm kind of stuck with Premiere.
Oh man, yeah. I
you
know the feeling. I'm on DaVinci. I switched a while ago. Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I had more. At the very beginning of this process, I was like, okay, let me download DaVinci and let me learn because I don't want to freaking resubscribe to Premiere again. And I went into DaVinci and it was just like a whole different work environment, workflow.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I don't have the time or the headspace. I mean, I'm in pre-production right now. I'm about to shoot a movie. I can't be learning a new software.
Yes.
So I stuck with Premiere. I'm shelling out the cash for it. But for newer filmmakers, DaVinci's free. Your iPhone has an incredible camera. Start shooting on your iPhone. Lights, there's some inexpensive lights that you could buy off of Amazon for like $20, $50. You don't even need light to buy a light. Just buy some diffusion. Buy some like one of those 5-in-1 Neewers. They're like $20. Use that. Learn about lighting with that. But I think it depends what type of filmmaker you want to be. If you want to be more like yourself, like more on the directing side, more on the cinematography side, practice that craft. If you want to be more on the writing side, practice that craft.
Yeah, cool, man. So, and this is the last question before we conclude our podcast.
Sure.
Will be for someone, we already answered like about, like you can find stuff for free and collaborating and all that. And I want to talk on another podcast how you can find money, which is important, right? So what's your advice to the filmmakers that are looking for money? They have a script, they have everything, they're ready to find the money.
Well, it depends how much money you need to find. If you make a no-budget, micro-budget movie like The Dark Pool, it's actually really easy. You don't, just ask a few people, pull a little bit out of your savings. You could do, Chris Nolan made his first movie for $6,000. Clerks was made for nothing. I mean, the guy...
Paranormal Activity,
nothing. Yeah. Who's the guy who made Clerks?
Can't remember.
I can't remember his name.
We put on the lower third.
Sure. Very successful filmmaker. He got like 10 credit cards and then just maxed out the credit cards. I mean, that's super risky.
Yeah, that's actually an advice that is kind of tricky though. You can get into a lot of that.
Yeah. It's super risky, but I mean, it paid off. And they made it for no money. I mean, it was one location. Yeah. Going back to the one location. In terms of finding money, I don't know how to. I've never made something for $1 million. Like I don't know where I would go and find $1 million. $1 million is nothing for a movie. I think if a filmmaker is watching this,
For you,
an outsider may think, $1 million, holy cow! But that's actually nothing.
Depending who you ask. If I give you $1 million, what you can do?
Oh
right?
My God. I'll make something.
What can you do with $1 million, bro? Like imagine you did this with very tiny budget. I give you $1 million right now. It's a lot of money. So depending who you are giving the money to, right?
Yeah.
So I think like with $1 million,
I think a better focus for an up and coming filmmaker. And again, I don't know if I'm in any position to even give this type of advice. But I think a better focus is about writing a script that can leverage the resources that you already have. That I think is a smarter move because it's going to look like $1 million, even though it costs 1% of that. I think a better question is, or a better answer to the question is, instead of thinking about how do you find the money, it's how do you make a movie with the money you already have.
That's a good point.
I think that is the way forward. Or at least that was my way forward.
No, I like it. To be honest, this is something I've been doing too. It's just I never seen it that way because I got the advice from my friend to write like there's an unlimited budget, and that's what we did, and then we just restructure into how much money we have,
And honestly, that's kind of what I was saying at the very beginning of this podcast, where like I never took my producer hat off. Yeah. I just kept it on the whole time. I'd be writing and I'd say, a car crash. There's a big chase scene. I'm like, wait a second. Wait. I can't do this. I delete that last paragraph. Okay, let me try again. And I'd find a way through.
Gotcha. So you were like watching the movie in your head while writing and then seeing the production. Wow.
Every writer writes with their mind's eye. They gotta see, at least every writer I've ever heard of. You gotta see the movie in your head. I mean,
what I mean about I was like literally you were watching the film done in your head and you're like, no, this is gonna cost a lot of money. We cannot make the car crash. Let's change it. That's what I was saying.
100%. Yeah, I in my earlier scripts, I didn't write that way. I would write.
You just went for
huge scenes. I'd be like, in this scene, I have a scene from the opening scene. It's actually one of my favorite scenes I've ever written. It's a script it's a scene from a script that I wrote about the Balsero crisis, about the Cuban Balsero crisis, and the script starts with this crazy action sequence with and it's a true story. This Cuban naval vessel rams this tugboat full of refugees and sinks the tugboat. And I wrote that as the opening scene, and it's crazy. There's kaboom, this ship crashes into another ship, and it starts sinking.
Yeah, how you create that?
Tons of people jumping overboard, and all these it's gonna cost, that scene alone is gonna cost $1 million. So there's two ways to write a script. Write a script with where just the story, figuring out what looks cool, what makes sense, and then there's, if you want to make the film, which is totally different. You don't have to make the film. You could just write it for the sake of writing it. But then at that point I say write a book instead. But whatever. I knew that I couldn't. I knew that I was gonna make this film. Moving back to Miami really lit a fire under my ass. I knew I was gonna make it, so I was like, I don't care. I need to be, when I sit down to write this, I cannot write anything that I know I can't do. Like there's some big VFX sequences in this, but just like I was telling Jeff, I have a background in After Effects. I know my way around 2D effects. When it comes to 3D stuff, that's where my skills don't meet my standards. And so really, there's next to no 3D effects in this. It's all 2D effects. There's a couple 3D shots, but I was very careful to keep the camera locked off and get some clean plates and worst case scenario, I may have to outsource these short moments with these 3D effects if I can't produce the quality that I want. But for the most part, even the VFX, as I was writing it, I'd be like, okay, I know I can do that, so I'm going to write that in.
Wow. What amazing, brother. So, hey, it was a pleasure having you on my podcast. I think we're giving a lot of value to the filmmaker audience. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap our podcast?
I want to say thank you for inviting me here. You have a super cool shop here. I don't even know how many 3D printers you have, but it's super cool. And yeah, this was a cool experience. This was my first podcast, so
thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is my third one. So
oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on it. My goal is that the filmmakers that are watching, they get inspired, and you get the opportunity to meet other filmmakers and they can find you. So how they can find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram.
So look at the camera. So if you want to find me,
sure. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's at AJ Courses. We'll do a lower third.
Yeah.
My last name is very rare.
How do you say your last name in Spanish?
Courses. AJ Courses. I mostly just post about the dark pool at this point.
You should do that.
Yeah.
You should just post about your movie.
Yeah. I like to take dopamine detoxes where I just delete Instagram for a little while. So I actually don't even have it right now.
Oh.
I need to re-download it. But yeah, anyways, you can find me on Instagram at AJ Courses. I'm posting a lot of behind the scenes stuff about the dark pool, which is my first feature film. And hopefully it can bring people some value about how to make a movie.
Well, great, man. Thank you so much for coming. And well, I think now we need to take a picture.
All right, let's take a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.